Because as far as I'm concerned, Craig,
Yes.
there's a lot of things wrong with the Philadelphia Eagles right now, and Jalen Hurts is not one of them at all. A lot of things happened last Monday, this past Monday, and including the last couple weeks. However, Jalen Hurts wasn't one of those problems, especially when his finger was about 4 inches where it should have been, and many other things like a terrible coaching staff around Nick Sirianni, and Nick Sirianni shouldn't be calling offensive plays, and also these fuckers should catch the ball when he's like, it was just, and also the defense decided on Monday to shut off. Did I miss anything? I get it?
Yeah, no, you got everything. We are still allowed to run the ball. I don't know why we were told that we weren't allowed to run the ball, especially when we started running the ball and with very good success, thanks to DeAndre Swift.
Every time.
And even on 3rd and 2, even 3rd and short, we're still going for the big play. The big play has not been there for us in the last month. True, we had a big play thanks to Devontae Smith. When he plays in Tampa Bay, reminder, folks, is maybe the single best wide receiver on the planet. I don't know what it is about Devontae Smith playing in Tampa Bay, but the guy's a human highlight film. But even he cannot do everything and cannot always bail out his quarterback, who or the play calling, which seems intent on getting the big plays rather than just, I don't know, picking up first downs on 3rd and 5. Jalen Hurts is the least of our worries. Unsettling that it's the 3rd year in a row that he's coming into a playoff game not 100% healthy. I know the same can be said for a lot of players and a lot of big-time players, but it just seems to be his snake-bitten fault that every year he comes in the playoffs, even last year during the Super Bowl run, not at 100%. Because as much as people want to blame Jalen Hurts for what happened on Monday, he obviously can't run as much as he'd like either. Because I think that would have been addressed early on if he could run, then because of his hand, like you said, his finger was in another area code. His legs still worked, but if his legs truly did work, that would have been a bigger part of our offense than it was. You were gonna say?
No, I was just agreeing with it because I don't know what people thought happened to Jalen Hurts in a year that all of a sudden he sucks. That's not what were you watching? And I watch less football than most of these because I just can't sit there and watch a broadcast. I'm like, oh God, come on. But I don't know what folks are looking at. He didn't all of a sudden go, I don't know how to throw the ball anymore. Obviously, internally, there's a problem. And I'm also not saying we should fire Nick Sirianni after, but somebody, Jeffrey Lurie, should be telling him, Jeffrey Lurie, to make some changes. Jeffrey Lurie, in the coaching staff, and perhaps somebody else completely should be calling the offense. Obviously, it stopped working.
Yes.
Just my spitball in here.
And I am as well. Nick Sirianni had his exit interview with Jeffrey Lurie today. We won't know what came out of that until maybe this time tomorrow. People are noting last time that there was not a collapse, but a Eagles team that underperformed in the postseason was Doug Peterson's last, where he had an exit interview with Jeffrey Lurie, and ideas were brought up about potentially changing Doug Peterson having more input in the offense, and that didn't sit well. And the next thing we know, Doug Peterson was fired 2 years after winning a Super Bowl, 2 years after winning the only Super Bowl in this franchise's history. But Jeffrey Lurie has shown that he and the Eagles have shown that they have no problem moving on from folks. And in one case, it worked because we moved on from Doug Peterson, and we, with a brand new head coach and a brand new quarterback, we went to another Super Bowl. I'm not saying we should do that again, because even though there are a plethora of highly qualified candidates that are all of a sudden available, and that's always been my my comeback argument to everyone saying fire coach, fire this coach during the entire Andy Reid era, fire Andy Reid. My answer, my Pavlovian response was, and get who? Who's out there? And get who?
Fair
Well,
point.
now with the coaching firings that have happened, we now have certain who's. There is a Bill Belichick. There's a Mike Vrabel. There's a Frank Reich. There is a possible Eric Bieniemy. So there is
Do you think Bill Belichick would want to come here?
I really pray, Dan, that he goes to Dallas, because that's when I know they're really fucking giving up. That's what I really want. I want Bill Belichick to go to Dallas to deal with that circus, to deal with Jerry Jones, see how well that goes. See, that's a ticket to the Titanic I will buy.
I'm just saying, everything's fine in Dallas. They were going to win the Super Bowl, and it's we should shut up. It's that was a fun week.
Yes,
That's a fun week. I don't agree with talking that much trash. And I wasn't talking about
I
you when I
know,
said
and
that, but I was,
yes.
but I was like, well, there by the grace of God, go on.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And honestly, Dan, and I was told, and you even said, and you and Maury together, you were both like the Jiminy Cricket and the angel on my shoulder. Hey, let's tone it down after Dallas lost. But honestly, that took the edge off the Eagles losing. I was
Yeah, I agree with Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I
So
agree. You know what also helped with it took the edge off?
What?
Joel Embiid. I'm trying not to curse as much. Joel Embiid cornholing the Nuggets.
Yeah.
And the Flyers cornholing the Blues. It was
yeah, on that same night. Yeah, and Flyers winning that same night. The Sixers won that afternoon, the afternoon of the Eagles' loss, and we won last night on national television. So yes, that takes the edge off of the Eagles' loss, and Sixers are my go-to now. And look at the Flyers in second place, 4 wins in a row.
Now, Craig, my warning to you,
sir.
Don't give your hopes up
with which
about
team?
The Flyers.
Okay.
We are talking about the Flyers, and I'm not saying don't get invested, don't enjoy it. I mean, for crying out loud, I bought a set of the New Jerseys hanging right there. One of them's hanging right there.
I see.
Steve said on the show yesterday, it's like, it'd be funny the Flyers come back from behind and win a Stanley Cup. And for a second, I was like, no, one game at a time. This team, and it's well documented on Twitter. I haven't deleted a tweet.
Mm-hmm.
I was beyond furious with certain people in the office and certain people on the team, and 98% of those things I really did last season. I think I watched 3 games.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do it.
3 more than I did.
Right, but I was like, I can't do it. I gotta break. I gotta take a break. I'm going to die. And wouldn't that be funny? I know I would have joked about me if it was me. And so I'm gonna take a year off. I watched 3 games and I was like, nope. And Tony Douchebagalo was sent back to Carolina. Several other changes were made. They traded the guy that caused all the problems in the NHL with Jersey Knights because he's a whiny little Russian bitch. and he's gone too. Good luck in Columbus, dingaling. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to one game at a time, and just taking it one game at a time. I like seeing other people get excited about them. I'm like, ooh, don't do it to yourself. Come on. And I'm doing the same with the Sixers. It's fun to watch. I heard people were chanting MVP last night. I was like, no, stop it. He's done it already. It's time to go for the big brass prize. How many other pieces do you want?
It's time to actually get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. Christ.
And I think this is the team to do it. Now, we finally have a bench. I don't remember the last time we had a bench.
No, yeah, I don't.
That's very, very refreshing. And even with several guys out, we still have a very good bench. So that's very refreshing. When I see games I get so happy to see us on national TV that I watch on mute, of course, because the announcers are. You're trying not to curse. I really am trying not to curse because
no, as much.
Okay,
because Van fucking Gundy.
Yes, it's fucking horseshit, and all the national are horseshit. But I'm like, I unmuted it because I was listening to one of the interviews, and like an idiot, I kept it on, and then I'm hearing they ran Ben Simmons out of town. They ran our last coach,
the Doc Rivers,
and before him, out of town, and it's like, how did we run Ben Simmons out of town? And it's not like Ben Simmons is playing at a high level right now or playing at all. But just listening to that horseshit was like, I know why, as much as I love watching us on national television, I can't listen to us on national television. My original point was seeing all three stars, Joel, Tyrese, and Tobias Harris, playing, all scoring 20 points. And if Tobias can average 18 to 20 for the rest of the season, I don't think we would need to get another player. That being said, and I hate that expression, Pascal Siakam was traded to the Pacers, and the Cavaliers get Bruce Brown. As much as I say I don't want a third player,
I mean, I'll take it. We'll take a third player. Come on.
If Tobias is going to play like this, though, Dan, and there's no guarantee that he will, I would invest in a backup center, Kelly Olynyk, because Embiid is going to miss some games. And for all the fans chanting MVP, I guess the new league rule, if he misses 9 more games, he won't be eligible. I'm fine with him missing 9 more games as long as he's healthy in April. That's why, if we're not going to get a big-time player, a Kelly Olynyk as our backup center would be just fine. Nothing against B-Ball Paul and even Mo Bamba, Mo Problems. They're all serviceable, but Kelly Olynyk would be the guy that can win us games without Embiid. We haven't won a single one without him yet, which ironically enough is increasing his MVP stock, because we can't win a game without him. We haven't won a game without him. But yeah, NBA trade deadline coming up.
I was thinking about that after, and I wasn't able to comment on Van Gundy. It's always bad nationally, and I'm sure other cities, feel the same, because they'll, they're talking about the other team and they're just taking a huge shit on us and blah 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 blah. I can usually tune it out, and I wanted to drive to Philadelphia and throw stuff at him. My God, shut up. He made it all up.
Oh yeah.
Nobody drove Ben Simmons out of Philadelphia. Ben Simmons played like a damn fool, and God forbid he was asked, "How about you don't play like a fucking fool?"
And then he said he didn't want to play basketball anymore.
And then he went,
For us.
I want to leave. And so he left. And you know what he's done this year? Not a damn thing.
He's done two things actually. He's done jack and shit.
Jack and shit. You know what he did the year before?
Jack and squat.
Fuck all. So James Harden, I don't know if you noticed this while you were shaking a huge crap on Embiid last night, Van Gundy, have not shown up in the playoffs. You know who also didn't show up in the playoffs except that one game? James Harden.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it's he's not the problem. It's everybody else.
Yes.
Have fun in LA. But hey, you're getting the All-Star game in your new arena, because if you were getting it at the Staples Center or whatever it's called now, Crypto Arena, it certainly wouldn't be a celebration of the fucking Clippers. You're a second-rate team in a city that's too big for both of you, for Christ's sake. And it's LA.
Yes.
Anyway.
And James Harden always plays well in the regular season. That's never been a problem.
Yeah, and I was in that denial mode, voice cracked. Like, no, it'll be different. No, of course it wasn't different. He did the same thing. He had the one game, and he was asked to do it probably one more time, and he could.
Yes. And I don't know how much we were talking about coaches earlier with the Eagles. The Nick Nurse effect is definitely palpable, because we have the same squad we had last year by and large, but the way Nick Nurse has Joel Embiid playing, and he's even better this year than he was last year, where he was the MVP. So there is something to Nick Nurse's coaching style and his coaching ability. If Tyrese Maxey becomes an all-star, and this is the same player that Doc Rivers had coming off the bench last year, then Nick Nurse has firmly placed himself as coach of the year.
I also wanted to point out is I didn't tune in at first because I didn't even remember what I was doing yesterday, and I turned it on around the beginning of the second quarter. And towards the end of the second quarter, we're having fun, and I'm watching them. They're all down by one, then up by one, then down by one, then up by one. And I was like, okay, this is cool, going back and forth. And of course, right before that run, I'm having fun and having a good time joking around. And then they cut to the doctor.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, sure, sit up straight. We're not fucking around tonight. We better win this. Yeah. Don't lose in front of Doc. No. Thanks. I just thought that was funny. Even to this day, I saw Mr. Doctor, sarcasm. Dr. J, Julius Irvin sitting there and sitting there and just watching. Sit straight, excuse me. Yeah. Sorry, royalty is in the room. Yeah. If Wilt Chamberlain is the king, that would be the doctor to the king.
Yes.
Yeah, of the Sixers franchise.
Yeah, you see
we're a basketball.
Yeah, a basketball. Did you see the picture of the doctor and the nurse?
I didn't see the picture of the doctor and the nurse. I thought that was very funny. I was like, oh, okay. And to be fair, to Doc Rivers, his first day here, when someone called him Doc, he goes, my name's Phil. There's only one doctor in this city.
Yeah.
So to his credit, he knows.
Oh yeah, and yeah, I remember that press conference. That's the first thing he said, Dan. He said, "There's only one doc." Yeah, people have always called me Doc, but since I'm in Philly, I'm not the Doc. I'm Glenn.
Oh my God!
What?
Okay, well, this is going to be a wonderful transition to wrestling. Well, I was going to transition to AEW anyway. Mm-hmm. I was trying to wait for Derek. He has a little baby whose teeth are coming in. So that might not be happening, because when my teeth come in, I want Daddy to hold me too.
Yes.
I said that bass backwards, but the point stands. My dad can't hold me right now. So I don't know if you're watching, but Mark Briscoe was cutting a promo. I don't know how long ago this was, about half hour or so. And he was talking about his niece who was in that car accident where his brother died
a year ago.
A year ago today, and they told her that she would never walk again. She's walking, and I don't mean she's just like, oh, I need a walker. She walked out to the ring on her, well, not on her own. She walked out to the stage with her family, right there. Incredible. And it goes through that because people are going to go, don't you have a problem with Jay Briscoe? Well, no, because again, this thing we talk about with Hulk Hogan, which I'll get to at the end of the show. I'm trying to wait for Derek for that one. It's all about accountability, which Terry knows nothing about. And Jay did have accountability.
Yes.
Tenfold.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and the incident in question with Jay Briscoe took place almost 15 years ago. That in the early baby infancy of Twitter, he has since apologized for it, like you said, tenfold. And he's worked successfully in many wrestling organizations, including the one that's under the umbrella of AEW right now, Ring of Honor. But for whatever reason, he was not allowed on national television, even though his best tag team, FTR, put them over and were talked about on national television continuously, but never wrestled there. I did see the Mark Briscoe coming out doing a very emotional promo talking about the loss of his brother, and the video that came after that. If you weren't crying before that,
you were crying after
his niece coming onto the stage along with Jay's other kids was absolutely spectacular. And then at the end, Dan, I was infuriated because Mark Briscoe right now should be your main event babyface. From the minute Tony relented and put him on it, that's your main event babyface right now. But like he does with everything, every great wrestler that he gets, every great opportunity he gets dropped in his lap, he messes it up. So now, with all the sympathy that Mark Briscoe has now, on the anniversary of his brother's death, he'll start winning matches. Why couldn't you have done that a year ago? Again, you had this main event babyface in your lap. Not only do you not put him on TV every week, you have him chopping out to idiots. Or same thing that you did with Jay Lethal, with Claudio. Guys that can get you main event numbers, can get you paid, can make you money. Already stars. They know how to work. But instead, you'd rather do that with Daniel Garcia or Wheeler Yuta or Orange fucking Cassidy. Why? Why?
Well, as the Young Bucks said on their little heel promo tonight, we lean on. What did they say?
I wasn't listening.
We lean on terrible people. Hold on, let me quote this right. If I'm gonna shit on them, I'm gonna at least get the quote right. You know, I'm about accuracy in this bitch. Where is it? I hate him so much. And the Bullet Club is not real. Stop it. We started to lean on yesterday, self-serving, superficial, cancerous superstars.
Really?
Yep.
Cancer?
I mean,
the same cancer that sold out Madison Square Garden?
Mm-hmm.
The same cancer that's gonna headline WrestleMania?
40
right here in Philadelphia?
Philadelphia? That cancer?
Okay.
I know your guys are cutting a heel promo, but it doesn't help that you are two of the biggest overrated douchebags.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I tuned out, and why
I can't
they're
imagine why.
why they're Sting's last match, I'll never fully understand, especially when it's in Carolina, and FTR is still alive and breathing. It makes no sense.
Well, because they make no sense, but they're heels.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, you don't
they're
need to
also
be.
pieces of shit.
You're also being the shit. We all. I mean, the fans already are prepared not to like you because look at you. So, or
Yeah.
listen
Well,
to you. But yeah. So what they call them? Second cancer. What was the quote?
God damn it. Hold on,
I'm
I have
sorry.
it. No, I haven't. I haven't. Leaning on yesterday's self-serving, superficial, cancerous superstars. You're cancerous.
Yesterday's yesterday's self-serving superstar was the biggest draw that your company ever had
Yeah.
in terms of ratings, in terms of
It wasn't fucking Chris Jericho.
yes, it wasn't Hangnail Page, it wasn't you two, it was the yesteryear cancer, the biggest star you guys have ever had in your company that you drove off, that you wanted your fans to boo rather than leaving him alone so the company that you're supposed to be EVPs are can make that grow. But because you guys weren't the ones making it grow, because you thought you were better than you really are, and that people gave a shit about you more than you think they do, you didn't move the needle. You bring in the cancer from yesteryear, and what do you know? You get sold out crowds, you get huge ratings, you get people interested in your product. But no, we want to have our fans boo you, so we'll start talking shit about the cancer's former best friend and that the cancer got him fired. So the fans will boo him. So you're trying to take money out of your own pocket, is what you're saying, because you don't like that he's more over than you. Okay.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. Meanwhile, with the Chris Jericho allegations out in the wild and
Yeah.
that not being addressed, when he comes out, you either play music, canned sounds, or just as of tonight, mute the audio.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You can work some of the people. WCW
Yeah.
2.0 and not in a good way.
But the guy who just left, he's a cancer.
Yeah.
And but Jericho, the one that you yeah, like you said, they gotta play his music like New Jack. So to drown out the booze. And you saw the signs that were up when he
And they,
wrestled.
and they won't address it.
No, of course not. Just like Tony's never gonna fire anybody if they fuck up.
You know what I did find interesting, and this is the last point I'll bring up for now.
Mm-hmm.
I found it interesting that he said 2-3 weeks ago that he still felt this company was the safest, yet almost 6 months ago he was afraid for his life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, buddy.
Okay. Well, Dan, as much as we love to talk about current product and
Yeah, I love
uh
it.
cancers of yesteryear, um, we're actually going to talk about a time in wrestling history where making money was good, and wrestlers that were within the company wanted to make as much money for the promotion as possible, and that included sellout shows and arenas and coliseums, high school gymnasiums, and stadiums across the country, where wrestling on national television was a given. There weren't so many wars as much, but fans had their favorite and they cheered and booed accordingly. And it was fun. We actually look forward to watching what we call back in the day professional wrestling This, ladies and gentlemen, is the first in the year of our Lord 2024 wrestling historian. We're going to start January 16th. This is 24 years ago, Dan.
Oh,
January 16th, 2000. WCW sold out pay-per-view. Sold with a U.
Yes.
This would be the WCW Heavyweight Championship changing hands. Its champion Sid Vicious would lose via crossface to Chris Benoit. Arn Anderson was the referee for that bout. Same Arn Anderson that was stabbed by Sid Vicious several times. But there was no fast count. It was strictly Big Sid tapping out. And Chris Benoit will be stripped of that self-same WCW World Heavyweight Championship the very next night. Because in reality, Benoit had left the company and would show up along with Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, and Perry Saturn 2 weeks later on WWE's Monday Night Raw. In effect, showing up on WWE television as the WCW Heavyweight Champion. 24 years ago, January 16th, 2000, WCW sold out.
I'm gonna tiptoe around this.
Okay.
Being it's Chris Benoit, and the answer should have forever be fuck Chris Benoit.
Right.
However, I remember being so excited watching that pay-per-view because finally they're giving it to Chris. That's great. The story they wrote because he was gone. Mm-hmm. I just like that they were like, no, here's the title, please stay.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
Last ditch effort.
And now we got to change it. See, what happened is his foot was under the rope, and now I have to change it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a tournament, but you just can't have a rematch. Well, no, son, he can't have a rematch because he's not here anymore. Oh.
Well. Oh yeah. That.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah. Congratulations, Turner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will still say that Jericho going to the WWF at the time was a bigger blow.
Mm-hmm.
But say if Jericho's debut was the first Negan baseball bat to WCW, the baseball bat to Glenn, thank you. I was going to say Stephen Yin, his name. No, not his. Got to get his shoot name. The baseball bat to Glenn would have been the Radicals, or what they called the Radicals going to WWF.
Radicals with a Z.
Yes, everything had to have a Z still. We were in attitude. What a stupid decision.
Hardy Boys.
I mean,
Dudley
Boys.
Yeah.
Dem Boys are golfing. Yeah. Everybody always cites the beginning of the ends, and that was that. That was them cutting back to Negan going, so back to it. Boom. Bye.
And WCW sold out would be one of the final, might it be the penultimate pay-per-view in WCW history?
No, it was a year later.
It was a year later. Okay, I apologize.
Yeah. No, sold out was and that was January. Oh, it was so weird. So he had sold. God, okay, nerd. He had sold out with the new logo, which the logo. In retrospect, I remember I remember calling my friend Mike across the street, going, when the Nitro in April, when they went to Vegas and they changed the logo and it was all brand new. It looked like fucking space, man. It was awesome. The stars, the big WCW logo, and the thing opens, closes. Great. I don't care. I'm watching Raw. Oh, all right. Well,
okay.
Fine. But I remember being so excited about that. And then, as I get older and I was go look back, I'm like, God damn it. That is horrible. But the name stayed the same. So you had WCW. This is I am not looking this up on Wikipedia. I am going off memory. So you had WCW sold out. Then you had Super Brawl 2000. Not Super Brawl 2000. Oh, what is March? March was uncensored. Was it uncensored still? Yes, March was uncensored still. It was still Spring Stampede. Road Wild was gone.
Yeah.
Spring Stampede, Great American Bash. What was there for Road Wild? Ooh, I gotta look that one up. But then you had you had Bash at the Beach,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had New Blood Rising. Then you just had Fall Brawl. War Games is gone. What a good decision that was. Let's get rid of our match that is synonymous with WCW, NWA, and let's just have a regular pay-per-view called Fall Brawl. Great, good shit. Fucking. You had that was September. So you had Mayhem. Oh no, I'm sorry, Halloween Havoc, Mayhem, which was a new pay-per-view from the year before. They kept that year and didn't bring back again another thing that was chaos and awesome. World War III, another great idea, and then of course Starrcade. And then you had Sin, Greed, and oh God, the last three. Help me. You're the historian, God damn it.
You're the WCW historian, God damn it.
Sin. Good fuck. Sin, Greed. Oh God damn it. All right, I'm gonna have to look it up. WCW 2000 pay-per-views. Oh God. What was that? I'm gonna smack myself when I remember. By the way.
Ooh, can I watch?
Yeah, here. Springsteen. Oh, Slamboree. Damn it.
I didn't know they were
what a more. Yeah, there was one more Slamboree, of course. And then it was it was Super. Okay, so it was Sin, Super Brawl Revenge.
Ah.
And then
Revenge
and then Greed, and that was gone.
Okay.
Then they were gonna have the Big Bang, but we know how that goes. Fusion was like, no, we can't do it. Anyway, sorry. Yes, Sid's who they in the middle of that big ratings dip and half empty arenas. They thought the great idea was Sid. And I like Sid as a wrestler, as a big wrestler, as a big man. But everybody wanted Scott Steiner, and they gave it to him in I don't know, September or October. And I was like, well, that's a bit late for that, guys. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I went on a little tangent. I apologize.
No apologies necessary, Dan. That's why I included it in this edition of Historian, because of your WCW roots.
Thanks, bud.
And I know you could elaborate more on the title change at WCW sold out.
Yeah, it was stupid. I remember them. It wasn't a thing until the next day.
Yeah.
It's like they made it up. Oh, fucking. No wonder Benoit wanted to leave.
And the rest of them.
God. Idiots. Anyway.
Idiots. Moving on.
Sorry.
January 18th was a big day in professional wrestling history for the number of influential people that were born on January 18th, and the events that also occurred on that same day. One of the individuals born on January 18th that pretty much shaped professional wrestling the way we see it now. It's a name you hear a lot of in Northeast legends, but not so much in anywhere else. Come on, Amber, please stop. Yeah, all day. Sorry.
I know the feeling.
No, she's got it in her. She's had an appearance fee or an
Yeah.
appearance writer in account. She has to appear on camera every time there is a camera.
Oh no, this is what we're doing, Dad.
January 18th was the day in 1894 that the great Toots Mondt was born.
Toots!
Toots Mondt, Ed Strangler Lewis, and his manager Billy Sandow, no relation to
Damien.
In 1919, they formed their own promotion. As opposed to having different promoters controlling them, they formed their own promotion. And they were called, get this, and how this for a name. Toots Mondt, Ed Strangler Lewis, and Billy Sandow were known as the Gold Dust Trio.
Knew exactly what they were.
Yes, the Gold. So that name, it's been around for a while. It didn't just start with Dustin Rhodes. The Gold Dust Trio, with their brand of professional wrestling, their promotion, they're the ones that instituted time limits. And they took professional wrestling out of burlesque halls and into actual arenas that they would rent and run shows in, and fans would come to see them. And within 6 months, they controlled the course of professional wrestling as we know it now. And they were primarily based in the Northeast, and they worked with a young promoter named Jess McMahon, who was the father of Vince McMahon Sr. And when Vince McMahon Sr. was just getting into the business to be like his dad. So Vince Jr. is a third generation promoter, head of wrestling organization. And it was Toots and Vince that broke away from the NWA, who at that time was the only professional wrestling organization in the United States. And they broke away from the NWA and they renamed it the Capital Wrestling Corporation, which would later become the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, or the WWF. When Buddy Rogers was the NWA champion, he would primarily wrestle in the Northeast because of his allegiance to Toots Mondt and Vince Sr. And since Toots controlled his bookings, he often wouldn't allow Buddy Rogers to defend the title in the Northeast. This didn't sit well with the NWA since they were the largest promotion the only promotion in the United States, and they had huge houses waiting to see the NWA champion in Texas, in Georgia, in Florida, in St. Louis, in Los Angeles. But Buddy Rogers, being from New Jersey anyway, and not wanting to travel outside of his home, I
get that.
Yeah, I get that too, buddy. No shame here. The original Nature Boy and Toots and Vince Sr. Eventually would crown Buddy their champion in their newly formed company, the WWF. Interesting to note, though, when they were looking at potential challengers to Buddy's championship, Toots had his eye on one guy, the same guy that Vince McMahon Sr. thought would be a mid-carder for 2 or 3 years, but it wouldn't amount to anything. But it was Toots who saw this Italian strongman and said, this could be the future of the company. And that man turned out to be Bruno Sammartino, who would, in fact, be the man who would change the company. And is still, to this day, the longest reigning world champion of any federation, NWA, AWA, or WWF, or WWE, to this day. And his reign, no matter what you may think of Roman Reigns, the reign of Bruno Sammartino will never be broken.
I mean, but it is though.
Roman Reigns at this current rate would have to be champion for another 6 years
Never mind.
to approach.
I'm kidding.
The almost 8-year consecutive reign of Bruno Sammartino, and we're not even going to get into the number of title defenses each man has because
it's a different time and a different era, and it doesn't matter because it's not going to happen.
yes,
Calm down, folks.
certain people are mad enough that Hulk Hogan's reign as champion will be broken. His record.
I am so delighted.
Yes.
But that is coming up in a different discussion.
That's coming up in a different segment. Yeah. Staying on wrestling story, in January 18th, the birthday of the great Toots Mondt. Also, on this very day, something similar that would change the course of professional wrestling in the WWF. Speaking of the aforementioned Bruno Sammartino, his first, and some would say only, clean loss ever took place on January 18th, 1971, in Madison Square Garden, where Bruno Sammartino, who had been champion since 1963, lost, pinned in Madison Square Garden by the Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff, in front of 25,611 people in Madison Square Garden. The first, and some would say only, loss of Bruno Sammartino's illustrious career, ending his almost 8-year reign as champion. 8 years, folks. Not 3, not 5, 8 years. And the only man to beat him was the man that's still, as we're talking right now, still not in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Oh.
But that all could change. Since WWE is under new management, and some that one Paul Levesque, fan of history, the WWE Hall of Fame could look remarkably different this year, which means we could see the inclusion finally of the first man, the only man to end the longest championship streak in professional wrestling history, Ivan Koloff. It happened January 18th, 1971. On that same date, January 18th, 1998, probably my favorite Royal Rumble, because one man entered 3 times. The 1998 Royal Rumble featured entering at number 1, Cactus Jack, entering at number 16, Mankind, and entering at number 28, Dude Love. Incredible feat that will never ever be duplicated, but it was won by the man who won his 2nd straight Royal Rumble that year, Stone Cold Steve Austin. The main event for that Royal Rumble was the Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker casket match, the same match where Shawn Michaels was backdropped and inadvertently fell on the side of the casket, that resulted in 2 herniated discs and a crushed complete vertebrate that would shorten his career noticeably, and some would say ended. But the back problems that would later cost him the WWE title to that same Stone Cold months later at WrestleMania, started January 18th, 1998, in that casket match. I mentioned that those are some of the great events that happened on January 18th. Other great people were born January 18th, one of them being Toots Mondt. Another who turns 70 this year, one of the great baby faces in professional wrestling history, and one of the great territorial baby faces. But this is another topic for another time, Dan. We talk about wrestlers that turn heel and may have been the best things for their career. And for this man, I could say it was, even though he was one of the great white meat baby faces and turned out to be one of the maybe the top 10 greatest heels of all time. Happy 70th birthday to Ted DiBiase. I know I may not tell the story every year, but I met him at Wizard World many years ago. He actually put the $1 million belt on me, and I got to ask him some questions because I went back to his Georgia days when he was a white meat babyface and did the neck injury angle with the Freebirds when Terry Gordy pile drive Ted DiBiase 7 times.
7 times.
And I said, Ted, what was going through your mind at number 4? Like, were you like, okay, that's enough of this or what? But he told a story about how he turned heel. Ernie Ladd was the booker in Mid-South, and Junkyard Dog was the top babyface. And Ted, noticed, along with a lot of the boys that, here Ted DiBiase being the number 2 babyface will wrestle 15, 20-minute matches against the heels like a Dick Slater or a Paul Orndorff. And Junkyard Dog would come in, shake the ropes, wrestle for 5 minutes, and get all the money. And but Ernie had been looking for a heel for a while, and to no luck. One of the heels he thought was going to do big business for him was King Kong Bundy, but Bundy, you fat piece of shit. We bring guys in to get you over, and what do? You dumb yourself right out of position. So Ted had an idea. He went to Ernie's place. Ernie was staying at a hotel, being the head booker. And he knocked on his door, and Ernie opened it and said, Ted said, Ernie, I found your new number 1 heel. And Ernie, lay it on me. And Ted said, you're looking at him. And Ernie said, yes, I am. And the rest is history. Ted DiBiase would turn on Junkyard Dog using a loaded glove to win the North American Heavyweight Championship, forcing Junkyard Dog to leave the Mid-South for 30 days, since that was the original agreement that the contract that was signed when Bob Roop was champion. My God, you're beautiful. You are so beautiful.
Phyllis.
I was talking to you, Dan. I was talking to you, Dan, but yes.
No, you weren't. Okay. You were talking to Miss Phyllis. Miss Phyllis with her Phillies collar and her Phillies the name tag that I'm blocking the address on. Look at that.
Absolutely. Absolutely beautiful.
This is Albert's older sister.
I see.
She's a Chiweenie. She's a Chiweenie puggle.
Yeah, she likes the French kiss. Give me that mouth.
Yeah, she does. I have to avoid that. I can't keep this. Anyway,
she can't keep a civil tongue in her mouth.
She told me she wanted to hear the historian up close, so I had to get her up here.
Well, here it is. Drink it in, man.
Drink it in. There's the historian. There's Craig.
Hi, Phyllis. You're beautiful. Amber's looking at you from off camera too. She doesn't want to steal your spotlight.
She wants to kill you.
But yes, Ted DiBiase turned 70 years old. Also having a birthday, January 18th, turning 55 years old. Someone who got a late start in professional wrestling would turn out to be a world champion multiple times over, and now many consider one of the best character actors in all of movies, who never has to wrestle another day in his life, turning 55 years old, January 18th, Dave Bautista.
He was great in Glass Onion.
He was.
Yeah. I mean, he's great in
everything. Yeah.
That I think somebody brought it. Oh God, what was was it Preston Steve that brought up Batista, or who brought up Batista?
M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night, that's right. He brought up Batista,
one of the best actors he's ever worked with, and knocking the cabin door.
Opening scene that he mentioned specifically,
yes,
in Blade Runner.
Yes.
And my favorite part about that is not only is there's that scene, there is a Blade Runner short film on that Blu-ray starring Batista's character, which gives a little backstory onto what his deal is and why he is where he is. And I mean, I love that series to begin with. That original movie is amazing,
Mm-hmm.
and um the sequel is
Yeah. And
fantastic.
the fact that Knight didn't even know who he was, but sees him on screen and said, "I want that guy." Who's
Yeah,
that guy?
yeah. No, he never has to wrestle another day. And my wife never met him, but technically met him um at a Nats game. He's local in the DC area.
Mm-hmm.
And because she was watching wrestling at the time, and I don't remember what year what it was, but she just recalls seeing a wall go by her, and then her looking and going, "Oh God, it's Batista."
Oh, will you look at that?
Holy, look at that! Holy shit!
Yeah, a guy that's truly had a remarkable and just life, because again, he started late in his mid-30s when he started professional wrestling. Had this incredible look that Jim Cornette took, hold of and made into something. Leviathan,
That's right. I always
his name.
forget that that's a Cornette thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and he's still marveled at, because that right now he's one of the great actors in all of entertainment. But you talk to Jim Cornette, you couldn't get 2 words out of him. He'd be sitting in a corner, not saying a word. And when they brought Kane in to work with him, and because by now Batista had picked up some really good moves and some great offense, and he said, "You meet with Kane, you tell him what you do," and you brought them together, and Dave's just sitting there, and Jim had to say, "Well, tell him what you do," and says, "Yeah, I do a
I'm a
pop up
professional wrestler.
yeah, I do a pop up power bomb into a splash," and it's like, what? It's like, and what else? Like, you guys have to, yeah. So he threw up his hands, and I guess there was a little heat, because when Batista was asked about his early wrestling career, he didn't mention Jim Cornette at all.
Oh,
Uh,
that's a shame. Well,
but
I mean,
yeah,
oh
but
well.
yeah, he had to start somewhere, and not that Jim wants to take all the credit for everything, because obviously Batista did he did a lot of it on his own, and even outgrew that Deacon Batista
Thank.
character.
Oh my God, I always
Remember
forgot that. Yeah,
when they had the great idea to split the Dudleys apart and
that
have
lasted a long time.
and because you could tell the McMahon era, because Devon's is legitimately a preacher's kid. His father was a minister, and so he'll be a deacon, and Deacon Batista. So you can imagine my surprise when I had my number one monster heel, who I promoted as coming out of the depths of like a Poseidon. He's a Leviathan, the creature from the depths, and now he's dressed with a tunic and he's got a Bible around his neck. Yeah. But he outgrew that. Became a big draw. Evolution, learned everything he could from not just Triple H, but Ric Flair and Randy Orton. They were learning as they went, and he became the biggest star in the company. And despite his shortcomings, he did what he could do, and what he could do, he did really well. And Guardians in the Galaxy, and here we are, Dave Batista. Everything he does on screen, you cannot take your eyes off it. I'm watching Hotel Artemis, a movie that flew under my radar with Jodie
Oh, I
Foster,
forgot to see
Sterling K.
that.
Brown, and there he is.
Yeah, I need to see that. I remember loving the trailer.
Yes. But yeah, so happy 55th birthday to Dave Batista and all the wonderful people that were born on January 18th. And that, gentlemen and ladies, is the wrestling historian.
So earlier we mentioned I see I first of all, I don't even know how to bring this up. So there is another podcaster who is vastly more successful than myself, than us. We had run-ins before because he is okay with harassing female wrestlers, even if it's not at a wrestling venue and not at an event. He thinks that's okay, and he wouldn't. And I had to tell him that he was wrong, and he blocked me because he's a pussy.
Yeah.
He's yes, especially you're blocking me. I mean, come on. Self-aware here, more self-aware than he lets on. Popped up again because he went on this very high-pitched voiced rant about Roman Reigns and him very likely beating Hulk Hogan's title reign number.
Mm-hmm.
And it's out there. You don't have to. I don't have to prove anything. It's out there on Twitter, and I'm not playing his audio because again, I'm not giving him a play. He's been mentioned on the show before by Derek, and I've said my piece about this prick. But basically, the summarizes is I don't care if he's racist. Why does Roman Reigns get to do it? Fuck Roman Reigns. I don't care if Hulk Hogan's racist. He should be the one. And because he's racist.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll send you the link so you can see the rant yourself.
No, I saw it. I've seen it.
Okay. So am I representing it correctly?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Because I read your comments on it. Because and the only reason I saw what he said because I follow you on Twitter and I saw.
Oh, you saw me, yeah.
Yep. And it's like, well, who's he responding to? And I see the high pitched squeal to complaining about Roman Reigns beating Hulk Hogan's longevity record. And for the record, which I just explained on this podcast in the Wrestling Historian, it's Hulk Hogan's first reign that Roman is in danger. That's not the record. So who gives a shit if he
What's the record? What's the record again, Craig?
It's 8 years, 11,000 days.
Thank you.
Not
he doesn't know that because he's a fucking moron.
Exactly.
And that's what people were telling him. Like, he was like, without Hulk Hogan, there'll be no Roman Reigns. And we were quick to bring up, well, without Bruno Sammartino, there'd be no Hulk Hogan.
And technically, without superstar Billy Graham, there would be no Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, but let's not even mention that little footnote.
Yeah. Without Bruno Sammartino, there'd be no WWE.
Yeah, so put your big boy pants on, grab them bootstraps, and just, he's one of those guys that will say terrible things and never admit he is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, he's one of those guys like cancel culture. No, there's accountability culture, which I've said numerous times, and other rational people will agree with. He never took accountability. Yeah. He only said sorry because he got caught.
Exactly. That's a difference.
Saying the N-word 58 times. I don't know what the definition of racism is, but I'm pretty sure that falls under the category, that word, Mm-hmm. Just saying, as a cracker myself. Also, I wanted to bring this to, and also because you'll tell me if I'm wrong, being that you're an African American, like that's not racist. I think again that falls under that. Yeah. And I wanted to bring this other thing to your attention. You probably won't know who this involves, but I did want to bring it up as there is a personality in wrestling, Stepstool Sarah. She was, I'm sorry, they were, that honest mistake. Mm-hmm. They were outed as an abuser.
Okay.
No other way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
No other way. That is what happened. The House of Wrestling, the guy who was taking the Chris Jericho allegations and putting a story to it, who then later came out saying he made that story up.
Mm-hmm.
began the article with Stepstool Sarah, who is a non-binary. That's the first sentence of this piece of shit's article.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while it is a fact, that opened up the floodgates for all of the homophobic fucks to be like, see? And one in particular who I get, well, you know, his first name's Sean. His last name is Dick Fuck. And all I have to tell you about him is his profile on that link page is American Patriot and Pure Blood.
Oh, one of those.
Oh, yeah. If I have to, I don't have to explain that further, but please know anybody listening to this that has that in their profile, we laugh behind your back. It's very funny.
Yeah. Or in my case, in front of your face.
Or in front of your face. Yeah. I tried, but he was like, I'm not going to. And then he immediately went into, I have a mental health issue. That's why I'm like this. Man, if I could use that as an excuse for everything. Fuck.
Yeah, I get away with a whole lot.
Oh, my God. I wish I could. I wish I could teach. Excuse me. They're playing. I wish I could be just like my sister and use that as my crutch for everything. I don't. It is the reason certain things happen, and I deal with them the best I can. I don't make it as an excuse to become a victim. But Pure Blood was one of the loudest ones that said, well, they never, ever better preach about anything ever again. And my response was, yeah, because all of those white wrestlers that have done terrible shit in wrestling are not allowed to do anything. Oh, wait, they're still allowed to be in wrestling. Sami Callihan. Mm-hmm. Hulk Hogan, the aforementioned, Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Sami Callihan. Yeah. The numerous Superfly Debbie Snuka.
Yeah.
All those other folks. Superfly's not a white dude. My point is male straight wrestlers who were allowed to stay in the business or are still allowed to be in the business. Who did worse. Well, that's okay. You outed yourself as a piece of shit. And you tweeting that you're sick doesn't help you. Ignoring me doesn't help you either. And that's fine. You got called. People know who you are now, and people caught on to your antics. And that's something you'll have to deal with now. But I just thought it was fun to point out they can't do anything anymore, Preachy. No, you know what? Straight white folks in wrestling need to keep their mouth shut about everything because of the dozens and hundreds of straight white folks that did terrible shit in wrestling. Craig?
Yes.
Have anything to add to that?
No, I don't. It amazes me how people have been enabled due to our previous administration, and they think that it makes them right to they truly believe they're speaking truth to power by calling attention to the fact that they don't like certain groups, and knowing that they could have people that agree with them just empowers them more to say stupid shit. And you know, the simpletons will always clap back against the people that they don't understand, are afraid of, or just don't like, and make that the point of their argument. And loudly proclaiming something like that, or having the first words out of your mouth because of someone who disagrees with you, well, they're non-binary. Or, I don't care that Hulk Hogan is a racist. You could have stopped talking right there.
No, you could not have said that.
Yeah.
Hold on, I just want to interject with Badass said, I downloaded and played AEW Rise to the Top, about on par with Fight Forever. Hi, Craig.
Hi, Ash.
Sorry, Ash. I was looking up something that we were talking about earlier, and I got distracted. I'm back now.
Ash, it's James Earl Jones' birthday. That's why I wore my Darth Vader hoodie for you.
I forgot it was today. Which I forget what date it's on, and I have it marked somewhere on this vast Preston and Steve archive I have. we're here. Hold on. We're talking about you now. Which has one of my favorite Steve Morrison moments ever. I think it was in 2006 or 7. Sorry, Craig, I'm a girl. I don't speak nerd. That's in reference to everybody always calling. No, every time she interjects her opinion about something nerd, everybody has to tell her she's an idiot and wrong.
Yeah, I follow her too. I know.
She said that to it was either Miss Peacockery or nice name by the way, or it was Kate of Fightful, who she replied that Ash replied that she doesn't bother interjecting her opinion on wrestling anymore because she gets shit on. And my reply was, but you're right 98% of the time.
Yeah.
That's not an exaggeration. That's true. And the Star Wars, she's probably right 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It's like on a bigger scale, but I compare it to it's the AEW mobile game. I saw a screenshot of that for a Miss Peacockery, which I will bring up in a second. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I was wondering what that is. Then answered my question. I compare it to there's this woman in video games. She's worked for IGN. She's worked for Rooster Teeth, Funhouse. She now works at Sony Entertainment. Video game developer. She's part of the writing staff there. I think she does more than that. But her name is Alana Pierce.
Okay.
Women get to this day, if you're attractive, you couldn't possibly be a fan of something. That is what people act on.
Yes.
And Ash very much has to fight that every fucking day. And Alana is the same thing. And when in reality, Ash has forgotten more about Star Wars than most of us will ever know. That you and me included, Craig. Freely and happily admit that.
Yes.
Kelly, my wife, has forgotten more about hockey than I have ever known. Alana Pierce has forgotten more about video games, the past, present, and the future, than most of these fuckers will ever know. And they just can't live with that. So they make it their mission to make them feel like garbage. I'll say that in a second, Ash. She has a reply. Can we evolve as men? Not you and me.
Yeah.
For God's sakes, please. Yeah. You gave her a heart attack today because you posted pictures of James Earl Jones without context.
The context was it was his birthday.
Yeah, no, now she knows that. But at first, when she first saw it, it was like, oh, crap. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I put the first words are always happy birthday.
Dude, I was going to say, I know the feel. That's a great picture of him.
Yes.
I know the feeling because I did the same thing because sometimes I'll scroll so fast. I'll be like, oh, Craig posted something. Let me scroll back up. Oh, fucking thing.
Because that's why when I do that, I post happy birthday. When I do a tribute, and I hate doing tributes, I always preface that first.
On Instagram, the picture popped up first before the words.
Okay.
That's okay. That would give me a heart attack as well.
Gotcha.
And I just went to Instagram to check that, and I just watched a GIF of Preston beating the mixing desk with a dildo.
Yes.
There we go. Preston and Steve, everyone. On Insta, there were no words. Yeah, I understand that. I've done that. Like I said, I do it on Twitter. Like I said, I would have scrolled past and go, holy shit. Oh, he's fine. She posted Miss Peacockery, which is a great follow on Twitter. If you don't follow Miss Peacockery, please do. I can't say it. I have to say it like oh God, mommy. Why am I blanking on her name? Rhea Ripley. Because she got her in one of those Q&A little shorts on social media. Miss Peacockery got it on there. And before she gets to the question, Rhea Ripley goes, Miss Peacockery, and just looks at the camera like, and goes back. I can't say it with it. She posted a picture of the AEW. What is it called again? Rise to the Top. Stupid fucking name.
Yeah.
And it's a screenshot. There's Aubrey Edwards at ringside. There's Kenny Omega on the other side at ringside. And in the ring is, what's this group called now? Douchebags? What is it? I don't know what Chris
the elite.
Jericho's.
Oh, the La Sex Gods or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Stupid.
Yeah.
And it's Chris Jericho in a speech bubble saying, "You want to turn my fans against me, besmirch the good name of Chris Jericho? I'm a stand-up guy, and everyone knows it. Exposing me as a liar, impossible."
Not that impossible.
Oopsies! Oh, God, timing. There's always a tweet. Also, Ash says she needs to get bigger pubes, and she needs to shave her kitty for her to matter. If you didn't see the conversation that we were having with this complete sociopath on Twitter, you would understand what I'm talking about. His Twitter can be found in go fuck yourself. I'm not saying his name either. Craig,
There.
I think the show is finished. What?
I'd like to finish, Dan, but
Oh yeah, good.
I can't finish without asking you your opinion.
Oh God, yes, it's advertised, for Christ's sake. I wrote up the description of the episode already, and we almost didn't talk about it. The Iron Claw movie.
Yes.
What do you want me to say? Like,
what you say?
My God.
Mm-hmm.
You and Derek both said, and Derek couldn't make tonight. Like I said earlier, his son is teething, and that is an experience that Daddy needs to be there for. But you guys both said, if you think you know the story and it's not going to cause you to have an emotional response, think again. And I still went in there going, I'll be fine. Mm-mm. Oh no. Oh man. That is heavy. And again, it's weird to say that like we don't know the story.
Yeah.
But my God. And it was very much built around Kevin. It was very well. First of all, it was very well done.
Mm-hmm.
And I did want to bring up two things because I've been watching people tweet about these things since the movie came out, and I'm like, well, I haven't seen it. I can't comment on it. One of those things is everybody complaining about the casting of Ric Flair. The movie's not about him. Who gives a fuck?
Yes.
Everybody knows it's Ric Flair. Shut up. And the other complaint was, well, they cut MJF out of the movie as Lance. The movie's not about him.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, that was the only my kind of bone of contention because I saw Iron Claw 3 times, and I saw it first time
Craig.
The first time was an advanced screening a month before it came out. I went by.
Oh, I remember that.
Screening.
Yeah.
So second time I went with company. I went with my best friend Nancy and her boyfriend, and the third time I saw it with Maury. So I was seeing it with 2 non-wrestling fans, for 3 non-wrestling fans for the most part. So they were interested in who the Lance Von Erich character was. And even though MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, is an executive producer, he had 3 scenes in the movie, and only one of them was used. The first scene was Fritz telling Kevin and Carrie, meet your cousin. And when he saw the houses were dwindling, he introduced a new Von Erich. The second scene was the one we saw of him in the ring and Kevin not getting a tag. And the third was Lance Von Erich, MJF's character, asking for more money because he was becoming a draw and he was fired. And then the Von Erich started bad-mouthing him, which happened in real life.
Yeah.
So those were the things that were, and it was just a momentary, well, who's that guy thing? And obviously I know who he was, but for the people I was with who didn't follow this didn't know. So yeah, but you are correct. It's not about him either. I just thought that was an interesting thing to leave out of the Von Erich. But then again, they left out an entire brother, so I can understand why they wouldn't. Why they wouldn't focus on Lance Von Erich. Hold on, keep talking.
No, I just that if you have not seen the movie, when it starts streaming, please see it. it's if you don't even know the story, the movie's amazing. And if you do know the story, the movie is just gives you another perspective of it because you have somebody who's written it, other actors, portraying those roles and what's the word I'm not improvising. They're presenting it in a different way. It's a great movie. A wrestling movie that was good. I
Yes,
know.
imagine that.
Shocking. A
And
wrestling movie that was good.
And the last thing I will say about this, and I will encourage fans of HIAC Talk Radio, if you have it in your possession, you could do what I did. I watched this. I saw Iron Claw with Maury, and she loved it. And is again a non-wrestling fan, and she was in tears at the end. And then we went home, Dan, and we watched the Dark Side of the Ring episode, The Last Von Erich. That is the perfect companion piece to Iron Claw. So
I will add the Heroes of World Class.
yes.
If you have, and if you've not seen that, you're gonna have to ask Craig or I to let you borrow it because it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Also, banish the thought I be a women wrestling fan who gets worked. What are you, stupid? Oh yeah, well that's the thing, Badash. If you get worked and believe in the story, you're an idiot now.
Yeah.
Because everybody has to know and be part of the gag. Stupid.
Yeah. With Iron Claw though.
Thank you for bringing it back on track.
Yes. A couple of people were asking me about the accuracy and everything. And with Dark Side of the Ring, they filled in a lot of blanks that Maury had and it just takes you to Kevin and his sons at the end. I think as much as I love Heroes of World Class, I think Dark Side of the Ring is it's a more recent Kevin, and you get stories that he filled in, especially about David's death. How so many people thought that because the Von Erichs were like the Beatles of wrestling and were at least in world class, but they were nationally known, not just in Texas. But when they were doing their stuff, I mean, Kevin started when he was 18, David when he was 19. David wrestling Madison Square Garden when he was 20. Kevin wrestled Madison Square Garden when he was 19. And when they were doing stuff in and around Texas and staying out late and being in places that they weren't, and when police were involved, Fritz would make you go away. That was what.
Yeah.
Well. So they had quite the privilege. So they really didn't have any responsibilities. We talk about AEW, how there being no one in charge. You can do whatever the fuck you want, and you're not going to get fired or reprimanded or anything. The Von Erichs pretty much had that. Not that they were causing locker room fights and getting arrested for drugs or anything, but yeah, not till later on in their life. But when they were young, in their early teens and early 20s, if they were out and about, Fritz would, So lots of people thought that Fritz had something to do with David's autopsy report, because when you find a young wrestler dead in their hotel, obviously the first thing you think is drugs. Flair talked about he and Brody were close, and now Brody told Flair allegedly that Brody was flushing drugs down the toilet as the police were coming into David's hotel room. But the coroner, the autopsy report was an inflamed intestine. He died from
drugs, Craig.
But still,
kidding.
David was only 25. So in Dark Side of the Ring, they shed a little light on that. Also talked about the time where Fritz pulled a gun on Kevin.
Oh God, yeah.
Was going to shoot him, and they didn't touch upon Fritz's brain cancer toward the end of his life that robbed him of a lot of his faculties. The Texas Stadium show, all the Von Erichs were there. Mara Tierney, who's wonderful as Darth Von Erich, wasn't watching it on television, and I love the stock footage of the Texas Stadium show. But they were all there. And Carrie's mother was one of the people that hugged him after he won the NWA championship. I thought they kind of went away. They obviously they jumped. I mean, Carrie finally wins the NWA championship. The thing in the movie we see as the center, the thing that his father wanted for his sons the most, and he finally wins it, and it's like it's nothing. We don't see Fritz anymore after that. And then Carrie goes for a motorcycle ride, and his foot's gone. Like kind of a jump, but
A slight jump.
yeah, but it works for the movie.
It's a great movie, and it's also a great looking movie.
Yes,
Gorgeous.
Dan, just for the Tom Sawyer montage alone.
Well, that's well. And now, how many people understood why that was used?
Not a lot. Oh, wrestling fans did, but
sure.
Yeah.
Did you have to tell Maury?
Yes. That I told her before. When I told her that we have to go see this movie, I told her all about the Von Erickson. The first time I ever heard Tom Sawyer, I thought
Sawyer,
the name
gotcha.
was Carrie Bryant. I thought the name of the song was Modern Day Warrior. I didn't know it was called Tom Sawyer. I never heard that song a day in my life. And then but I heard it when Carrie's coming to the ring. I said, that's a cool song. And when Kevin came to the ring with to Stranglehold by Ted Nugent, I had never heard that song before in my life. Dan, did you know that before the Road Warriors, I'd never heard Iron Man a day in my life? Professional wrestling, folks, introduced me to more great music than any other art form ever has. If not professional wrestling, I never would have heard any of these songs before. I had never heard any of these songs before. And now they're on my iPod, my playlist for the rest of my life because of professional wrestling.
Can I admit something?
Please.
I knew Tom Sawyer was used, but I never made the connection to the first line of the song until the second when you said it.
Yeah, the
Amana, I know.
His nickname actually.
Yes, I know, Craig, but it never occurred to me. Like Donald Pleasance in Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, it didn't occur to me until you said it to me. Oh yeah, that's why they use it. Stupid.
Yeah.
Oh God, where can people follow you?
They can follow me, and unlike a beleaguered Dan Calachico, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and Threads, if you like, at Craig Ligons, CraigLiGeons.
Right. Yes. Follow me on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, Hive, Danlow83. For Craig Ligons. I'm Dan Calachico.
The modern day warrior.
I am the modern day warrior. Mean pride.
Catchy tune.
Keep it on the paper.